But what we're talking about now is this syndrome, this cluster of difficulties, which we often use the term focus to describe. But keep in mind that when we're talking focus, we're not talking about focus as in hold the camera still while I take a picture. No, this is more like focus on your driving. Think about what we do when we focus on our driving. We're not gluing our eyes to the bumper of the car in front of us. We're watching what they're doing. But we're also looking in the rear view mirror, the side view mirror, to see what's coming up from behind us. We're also noticing that the stoplight down the street is turning from green to red. We take our foot off the accelerator and move it toward the brake. We notice that there's somebody coming up way too fast behind us, and on top of that, there's a truck backing out of a driveway here. There are a few pedestrians running across the street to catch the bus, and then the cops have got somebody stopped over there. We're sort of curious to see who did they get? Is there anybody I know, and what did they get him for? And we've got to be careful not to look too long at that, because meanwhile we've got to watch what we're doing, and then we've got to get over to the other lane because we're going to have to make a turn to get over to the supermarket, and meanwhile we're going to be thinking about what it is that we need to buy when we get to the store. Now, what are we doing when we're focusing on our driving in that way? What we're doing is utilizing the ability to shift focus from one thing to another while keeping in mind what we just saw, where we're headed, what we're trying to do, in order to safely drive the car. And I think that model of utilizing working memory and the ability to shift and hold focus comes a lot closer to talking about what we're talking about in terms of the executive functions that are impaired in people with ADHD. Now, this term executive functions is not referring to what business executives do in their job. It's talking about neural networks in the brain. And they serve a very specific purpose. These are the central control processes that connect and then prioritize and sort of integrate for us our cognitive functions moment by moment. And the metaphor I use for thinking about that is if you picture a symphony orchestra where all the musicians are soloist quality, really very, very good at playing their instruments, regardless of how good they may be. If you don't have a conductor who could select what the player they're going to be playing, and get each one to play his or her specific part in the same piece at the same time, and keep them on time, and bring in the strings, and then fade out the strings, and pull in the timpani, and bring in the brass, and organize them, and start them, and stop them. Without a good conductor, you're not going to get very good music out of a symphony. The problems in brain, in ADD, are not with those parts of the brain which would correspond to the individual musicians. Those work perfectly well as long as the person is doing something in which they have strong personal interest, or they feel they have a gun to their head and something very unpleasant is going to be happening very quickly if they don't take care of this right here, right now. Under those circumstances, no problems. Those modules of brain work quite well. The problem is one level up in those neural networks that serve the purpose of conducting the brain's symphony, integrating, organizing, and prioritizing tasks.